I'm going to be remaking every mob into horror in Minecraft. First mob I'm going to change is a pig, and I think I'm going to make it into a goat man. Let's start by deleting some of the stuff that we don't need, and then I'll start to make the legs. So I'll start to shrink these down to make some feet. Then we'll add a part of his leg bending back like this, and then I'll add another part of his leg bending forward this time. Then I'll bend it back again, and I think that looks pretty good. So let's just copy it to the other side. Now let's start to work on his body. So we'll connect it to his legs, and then rotate his main body to make it lean forward. Then I'll give him another piece rotated on the side of his body. Next, let's add his arms, and I'll give him some claws as well. Now we can copy this to the other side. Okay, let's begin to work on his head. So I'm going to add a piece on the front of his head, which will be the top of his mouth, and then I add another one on the bottom of it. Now let's add his antlers. So let's make an antler sticking out from the top of his head, and it'll extend down a little bit. Now let's just copy it to the other side, and then I'm going to color him brown for now. Now I'm going to give him some ribs that are going to stick out from his chest. Then I'll give him some eyes and some teeth. Lastly, it's time to color him in and add some detail, and I think that's looking pretty good. Let's see how it looks in game. And this is how the goat man looks in game, and he is looking pretty scary with all the blood on him, and he's also incredibly tall. Dude has to be like 10 feet tall or something. He looks pretty strong, so let's see if I can fight him. And no, it doesn't look like I can. I mean, I almost died after one hit. And if you thought that you could run from him instead of fighting, think again, as he moves at the speed of light. But if you do manage to kill one of these, they'll drop a bloody goat horn, where if you blow in the horn, it will spawn another goat man right on top of you, and it will also make it turn into nighttime. The goat man was pretty scary, so I think I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10. He turned out pretty good. I definitely wouldn't want to run into this guy. Next mob I'm going to change is a piglin, and I'm going to change it into a murderer's butcher. First, let's get rid of all the stuff that we don't need. Then let's shrink his legs down a little, and then add a bigger part of the leg on top, and we'll give him some feet as well. Now it's time to work on his body. So I'll extend it out a bit to make him a lot bigger, and then I'm going to give him a smaller piece on top. Now let's start to work on the arms. So I'll extend out some big looking arms out, and then copy it to the other side. And now we can start to work on his head. First we'll add the ear flaps on the side, and then we'll add his snout and some teeth coming out from under it, and I think that's looking pretty good. Now let's give him some hands so he's able to hold his weapon, and then I'm going to extend a piece coming out from his hand and start forming a big butcher knife. Now let's add in some detail in his eyes and some eyebrows as well. Now we can start to color him in. So let's start with a knife, coloring it gray, and add some blood onto it as well. Then I'll change the color of his body a little bit. Next I'll color his shoes in gray and his pants black. I'm also going to add some blood onto his hands and his forearms as well. And lastly, I'm going to add in his apron on the front, and I think he's looking pretty good. Let's see how it looks in game. And this is how the pig butcher looks in game, and he's really good. This might be my favorite one so far. He's also really massive as well, and since he's really huge, he moves pretty slow, as he can't even catch up to me when I'm only walking. But if he does manage to catch up to you, he is insanely powerful, as he's able to take down the goat man pretty easily. When he does die though, he will drop his bloody knife, which is a pretty powerful weapon and can do some serious damage. Overall, I think I'm going to give the pig butcher a 10 out of 10 as well. He turned out really good, and he's definitely my favorite one I've made so far. Next mob I'm going to change is a wolf, and I'm going to make it into a werewolf. First, let's get rid of all the stuff that we don't need. Now let's start working on his legs, and we'll give him some feet and some toes sticking out as well. And for the legs, we're going to copy what we did for the goat man and do the same thing here. Now let's start working on his body, and we'll rotate it forward a little bit, and we'll shift the body going up so it's a little bit bigger at the chest. Now let's start working on his arms. So we'll start some big arms going out and give him some sharp claws as well. Now let's copy it to the other side, and lastly let's give him a head. So I'm going to make it kind of curve at the back of the head so it sticks out a little bit more in the front. Next I'm going to add in his mouth and his ears on top, and then we'll give him some eyes and some teeth. Now all that's left is the color and everything in. So I'll change the color of his toes and claws and give him some texture, and lastly add some blood on his claws, and I think that's looking pretty good. Let's see how it looks in game. And this is how the werewolf looks in game. He looks pretty good, and he's also insanely tall. The werewolf also is very scary, as he will murder anything that comes near him, and since werewolves are known to be pretty fast, he's also able to run at the speed of light, making him really hard to run from. Not only is he fast though, he's also really powerful, as he can take down a goat man pretty easily, although not the pig butcher. I don't think that guy's going to be losing anytime soon. When the werewolf dies though, he drops his sharp claws, which is a pretty powerful melee weapon and does a good amount of damage. The werewolf was pretty cool, so because of that, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Next mob I'm going to change is a zombie, and I'm going to make it mutated. First we're going to rotate his legs, that way he's crawling on the ground, and the other leg we're going to make it a little bit shorter as if it's chopped off. Next we'll also rotate the body to match his legs as well. Now let's work on his arms, and we're going to have him coming out and lifting up his body from the ground, and we'll copy this to the other side. Now for the head, I'm going to change it a little bit so that way he has a bigger mouth, and I'll add some razor sharp teeth in as well. Then I'll give him some eyes. Now it's time to add some detail to him, so I'm going to add thin pieces coming off of his legs, which will look like blood dripping, and then I'll fix his colors up a little bit more, and I'll also add a bunch of blood in his mouth and a bunch of blood around his whole body, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add it to the game. This is how the mutated zombie looks in game, and he's looking really demonic, like his teeth look like they could rip me apart. Although he might have a hard time getting to me though, as he doesn't move very fast, being that he has one leg and all. But even if he does catch up to you, he's not the strongest, as a werewolf can easily defeat one of these. But when he does die, he'll drop his zombie arm, which is really similar to the werewolf claw, but it's a little weaker than it, so it's really not that good. The zombie is pretty scary though, as this is him killing a village, and I definitely wouldn't want this guy in my house. Overall, I think I'm going to give the zombie a 7 out of 10. He looked pretty good, but he was pretty weak. Next mob I'm going to change is a skeleton, and I'm going to change it into a ghost. First, let's get rid of his legs, as we don't need them. Now let's color in his body black, and we'll shape up his arms a little bit. Now we'll extend his body down a little and rotate it, and I'm going to remove some of the color to make it look like it's ripped at the bottom. And I'll add in some of these pieces around his arms as well. And then I'm going to color in some detail. Now it's time to work on his head, so I'm going to make a hood around his head. Then I'll give him some eyes and touch up his mouth a little bit. And lastly, I'm going to give him some hands. And I think that's looking pretty good. Let's see how it looks in game. This is how the ghost looks in game, and he is looking pretty good. He's also really scary, as when you get near him, you'll get darkness and weakness, which when he is chasing you, it makes it even more scary. He also does a ton of damage, as he was almost able to two-shot me. Although that wasn't enough to take down Pig Butcher or Goat Man, so he's still not that strong. When he does die though, he drops his cloak, which when you put it on, you'll get invisibility, because you know, he's like ghost, you shouldn't be able to see him in the first place. So this makes his item pretty OP. I think I'm going to give the ghost a 6 out of 10. I didn't really like how he looked, but he did have some cool abilities to make up for it. The last mob I'm going to change is an invoker, and I'm going to make it into a creepy doctor. First, let's remove all the stuff that we don't need. Then let's change the shape of his legs and give him some feet as well. Now let's work on his arms. So I'm going to make them stick out a little bit more and give him some hands as well. Now let's work on his head. First, let's add his big nose thing that he has and make it curve down a little bit. And now let's give him his big hat. And then I'm going to add in his eyes and glasses that he has. Now I'm going to color everything in, giving him some red eyes and changing the color of his nose. Now let's add the piece of coat that goes around the top of his body. And lastly, I'm going to give him his magic staff. So I'm going to give him a big wooden staff with a little circle thing that goes around the top. And I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add it to the game. And this is how the doctor looks in game. He's looking pretty good and creepy. And since he has his magic staff, he has a range attack that will shoot fireballs, which is pretty OP, as nothing can get close to him, making him counter the Pig Butcher and easily defeating him. And he may be a doctor, but he seems like he has no interest in helping out any villages. And when he dies, he'll drop his magic staff, which will shoot fireballs, and it's really OP, as you can pretty much just spam fireballs wreaking havoc on everyone. The doctor had one of the best weapons and abilities. I didn't really like the way he turned out though, so because of that, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Subscribe if you want me to remake more mobs.